This particular segment is called Mr. Mush Found at Last, which is part 4 and the final segment of my short story, Who Killed Mr. Mush? Philip Marlow Investigates. As the PETA protesters set themselves upon the fur coat wearing Britney Spears in this blistering heat, Miss Spears screamed, "I'm not crazy! I tell you, I'm not crazy!" I walked down a back alleyway. Well, Mr. Mush's horse was gone, and I was partly to blame. The last clues we had to the whereabouts of Mr. Mush, according to the tight skirt-wearing dame, who is now getting her marshmallow-colored skirt cleaned at Mr. Lee's dry cleaning, Mr. Mush was last seen on a horse before he was kidnapped, or killed, or whatever had happened to him. Now, the horse was no more. It's my good fortune that I happened to walk by a Sri Lankan restaurant. The proprietor directed me down to the wine cellar. I guess he thought I needed a drink. When I was down in the wine cellar, there, tied up, and sitting next to a bottle of Chardonnay, was the missing Mr. Mush. I turned, and there stood the ancient demon Ravana, a notorious demon king of Sri Lanka who had kidnapped Princess Sita, the fiancée of Lord Rama, the ruler of the ancient Indian kingdom of Ahadya millennia earlier. The Hindu monkey god Hanuman had helped Lord Rama rescue his beloved Sita from the clutches of the demonic Ravana. It was a good thing I had taken that course, comparative study in world religions, in my first year of university, or otherwise I wouldn't have recognized the strange entity. "You're Ravana, aren't you?" I asked as I helped myself to a bottle of German Riesling. The demonic entity belched, "Excuse me," and then bowed. "Yes, I am Ravana." "You've kidnapped Mr. Mush." I popped the cork on the Riesling. "Has living in the state of California changed your sexual orientation? You're going after guys now, instead of princesses?" Ravana shook his head. "Mr. Mush here is a well-known writer of romantic love poetry. I thought if I couldn't win Princess Sita's heart through abduction, I thought I might win her heart by sending her some of Mr. Mush's love poems, saying that I had written them." "May I see some of Mr. Mush's poems?" I asked. Ravana handed me a whole bunch with his clawed hands. After reading the first half dozen, I was rolling on the floor in great gales of laughter. Mr. Mush's face turned bright red. Couldn't have been the wine, as having a gag in his mouth probably prevented him from imbibing. "You were planning to win her over with this mush?" I roared. "Tell me, Ravana, how does it feel to be an idiot?" Now it was Ravana's turn for his face to turn red. Just one thing," something had occurred to me. "I thought Lord Rama had slain you. How is it you're alive?" "I was brought back to life by a Hollywood film producer," Ravana explained. That was plausible. Hollywood film producers were bringing ancient demons back to life all the time. "Let Mr. Mush go," I told Ravana. "No," Ravana shook his head. Well, Ravana had had his chance. I always carried a bottle of holy water with me ever since I was attacked by the ancient Aztec serpent god Quetzalcoatl while making out with Jessica Alba in the back of a red Corvette in Hollywood years ago. I sprayed Ravana with the holy water. He quickly disintegrated into mush, almost as mushy as Mr. Mush's love poems. I then untied Mr. Mush. He quickly ran upstairs and out the door. I gathered up the scraps of paper on which were written the collected works of Mr. Mush. I thought I could use them for a bonfire to roast marshmallows later, as the evening heat seemed to have died down. As I walked out the door of the Sri Lankan restaurant, I noticed Mr. Mush was run over by a car driven by Lindsay Lohan. After running over Mr. Mush, Lindsay Lohan then wrapped her car around a light pole. Well, two mysteries were solved tonight. Who kidnapped Mr. Mush? The ancient Hindu demon Ravana. Who killed Mr. Mush? Alcoholic airhead drunk driver Lindsay Lohan.